Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 2 of the Go To Podcast. I am your host, Anthony DiDomenico, and we are coming to you here from the Manchild studio, where all the go to things happen, so to speak. We are recording this episode on Easter Sunday, so happy Easter to everybody out there who celebrates. I know for myself, everybody will be celebrating tomorrow with half off Easter candy. That's always to me, always the move, right? After a holiday or after any kind of day where candy is, sold for that holiday, the next day is the big day. That's the day that, it's half off. It's ready to go. Everybody's loving it. Everybody wants a piece of it. Everybody, uh, you know, wants to get it for a discount, so to speak. I know I do. I know I'm very happy about that when I can get my Easter candy for a nice discount, or whether it be Halloween candy or Christmas or, anything. And the big go-to Easter candy for me is the Reese's peanut butter egg. Phenomenal. I don't know what it is about when they put it into that egg shape. It's different. It really is. It's different than a regular peanut butter cup. It's more peanut butter, which I am a fan of. I absolutely love peanut butter, and the more peanut butter I can get, the better. Move it all around. Let's peanut butter. Salute. There we go. Peanut butter definitely is the way to go. I like a chocolate bunny. Don't get me wrong. I like a classic chocolate bunny. The solid ones were, oh my God, you got a solid one as a kid. You thought you hit the lottery. That was just out of this world. Milk chocolate, solid Easter bunny. Your parents loved you. Hollow one, but still milk chocolate. You're getting older. You don't really need that Easter basket, but we still want to show you that, you're our kid. If you're getting the hollow chocolate flavored, it's time for you to move out. They don't want you there anymore. They're trying to get you to leave. And by doing that, they're giving you Mooshad Easter candy. My mother, God rest her soul, always got me milk chocolate bunnies, even when I was in my late 20s living at home. She knew that I was going to be there forever, or at least into my 40s, and she was right. I have video recording to that. Technically I rented downstairs, but I was still in the same house. She was right about that, as always. But Easter candy is probably the best candy out of all of them. I mean, Halloween candy is everybody's like, oh, Halloween candy. But Halloween candy is regular candy. There's nothing really different about Halloween candy. Easter candy, you got jelly beans. You have, which I think is gold, the Cadbury mini eggs. Not the cream-filled ones or the caramel-filled ones, which are good. But the mini eggs, those are gold. They got an amazing taste to them. Those are some of the best Easter candies. Ones that I'm not a fan of, Peeps. I don't like Peeps. I'm not a big marshmallow guy to begin with, as you know from my Built Bar days. When they flipped over to the marshmallow ones, I got away from them right away. But I don't like the sugary marshmallowy thing. Not my thing. Peanut butter, milk chocolate, all day. Jelly beans, like the tropical fruit ones. I like traditional ones too, but the tropical fruit ones, out of this world. Making up an Easter basket for me is very easy. Just get a gift card to a coffee place that I go to. Starbucks or Dunkin'. You can get me a milk chocolate egg. Milk chocolate bunny. and get me some of those Reese's eggs and some Cadbury mini eggs, and I'm a happy boy. I've seen the big peanut butter egg. I've gotten those in the past too, but it's good. A little overkill. You got to do the mini egg. You got to do the regular eggs. It's amazing that I can open up a show, a podcast talking about Easter candy, but it really is that good. Easter candy is absolutely phenomenal. And, as the kids get older, the candy gets less, as I was talking about before, the parents do. And this year, actually, my brother went away. The kids are off from school next week. So tonight, me and my dad are going out to dinner, which is kind of cool because we don't get to do that a lot, just the two of us. Usually when we go to a nice restaurant, it's the whole family. But this is gonna be a fun time tonight. I texted him during the week. I said, "Hey, you wanna get something to eat? Just gonna be me and you on Easter." And I thought, we'd stay local or something. It's not a big. And he texted me back a very nice restaurant. At the time, he made a reservation. So after I record this podcast, I got to go get gussied up. And we're going to talk about it next week. But this week is the stuff that I went through this week, and some go-tos, some things that I enjoyed. I haven't gotten Easter candy yet, but definitely maybe I'll put a Target order in tomorrow and see what I can get. I shouldn't be eating it, but I got to have at least a couple of those mini eggs and the chocolate peanut butter eggs. Gotta get a few of them. This week I watched another Jon Favreau movie. Talk about a go-to. The movie Made, back in 2001, it's when it was released. Jon Favreau wrote and directed this movie. Came out a couple years after Swingers. And in a lot of ways, I like this movie better than Swingers. I mean, Swingers is a classic. It's almost like high school in a way, where it's the best. It's like the time of your life. You love Swingers, but Made as an overall comedy, I think is much funnier. Great storyline to it. I don't want to ruin it for anybody who hasn't seen it, but I'll give you the gist. Jon Favreau and Vince Vaughn back together once again after Swingers. And this was kind of like, I think, good for Vince Vaughn, because after Swingers, people try to, like, he was doing a lot of like serious roles, and people were trying to give him, like, because they thought like he was the next, like, which he became a great leading man, but like serious roles. Not the funny, fast talking characters that he played in later movies like Wedding Crashers and Dodgeball and Old School. This is coming back to that character and coming back to his bread and butter, so to speak. I think after he did Swingers, he did like some cop movie with Jennifer Lopez or something. I don't know, like a guy with like. I think this is the movie. I don't know what it's called, but I think this is the movie. I just remember like seeing on HBO. It's weird. It's a fucking weird movie. The guy would like hang himself through like his flesh. He had like his skin had holes in it, and he would hang himself from like the ceiling, like over pictures of women, and then like blow his load on the pictures by just laying there with hanging from hooks. I don't know. It's definitely a movie. It's out there. I think he was in that, but like that's not Vince Vaughn's kind of movie. Vince Vaughn's movie is fast talking comedy, guy you could root for. Sometimes a little bit of a schlub. That's his character. And this character he plays in this movie, Ricky, he is hilarious. Great cast. You have Peter Falk as Max, who's like the boss of the outfit. So basically, Jon Favreau is a wannabe boxer who works for like a crime boss, and his girlfriend is a stripper for this guy, like, and he does, like, I guess collections for him and stuff like that, or he bounces for he drives the girls to the job, and like he does, like, he's a knockaround guy, and they get this opportunity to go out to New York, and they have to do like a drop off. It's really all it and the way they make this simple job into like a clusterfuck is hilarious, and it's so entertaining. Vince Vaughn and Jon Favreau in this movie are fantastic. Peter Falk has one of my favorite lines in the movie when he yells at him about stealing the carpet cleaning van and then calls him a cocksucker. P. Diddy's in this movie, which is kind of crazy I knew he was in it, but like when it's the first time I've seen him in anything since that documentary came out, I was like, that's not the Diddy I know. Oh, Diddy, why'd you do it? But if you haven't seen Made, or if you haven't seen it in a while, definitely go check it out. One of my favorite movies of all time. Bobby Resigliano. Is everybody on the Jesus Christ? Is everybody named Bobby Resigliano? I just love everything about this movie. It also brings you might be back to a time. It's like pre 9/11, 2001. New York was a different place. The world was a different place. I just remember that time, and you'll see during the show. There's a lot that has to do with that time frame, kind of built into this week. I kind of had a nostalgia week this week. I usually have a lot of nostalgia weeks, but this was around that time. Like I mentioned, P. Diddy was in the movie, or Puffy, Sean Combs, whatever you want to call him. And this was like the time, 2001. Puffy was like on top of the world. He was doing movies. He was all over the place, record albums, and we did not know what the dealio was with with all this what was going on. You think about it now and how crazy it is. It really is a different world, after you find out a celebrity was doing what he was doing, so to speak, and getting in the trouble they're getting in, and it's just crazy to think back. And I think we have a way of, if we like the movie, TV show, piece of music, we have a way of separating celebrities from the harm they did, and they're just that character now. And then we hate the real person, but we love that performance. I remember I did a show. This is coming out of COVID. It was the first show that I headlined again, and I had to do 60 minutes. And I don't know how we got on the subject, but somebody brought up they yelled at Bill Cosby or something. I don't know what it was. They said Cosby. And I kind of shifted gears, and I went off the cuff, and as Ryan Marr would say, I riffed like Maisel. And I talked about how, believe it or not, Bill Cosby was like America's dad. It's crazy to think about it now. But this guy, chocolate pudding pops and dancing, and he was doing the face with the, he was always with the faces and the dancing. He always looked like he was like hurt when he was dancing, Kind of like when my knee hurts, I walk like Bill Cosby dances. But I would have told 6-year-old Anthony watching the Cosby Show what was going on. First of all, I guess 6-year-old can handle that, but like I'm just saying, I wouldn't have believed you because of what was being presented to me. As a grown-up, as an adult, I believe anything anybody does. I mean, it's, I don't put anything past anybody anymore. And that's kind of, I guess, the innocence of childhood washed away. But my buddy Dan Barry, who is a very funny comedian and just actually retired from professional wrestling, did a joke about Tom Hanks. And he goes, "You guys hear about Tom Hanks? What happened?" And I was like, "What?" And he goes, "See, you believe it." And I'm sorry, Dan, if I butchered your joke, but I always love that joke because it is true. And it's kind of like what this whole thing happened, you know. Not that I was a huge P. Diddy fan. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying P. Diddy. Um, but it's just crazy to think back, what was really going on when we were enjoying those performances and everything. And it kind of makes you question everything. Okay, back to the joke that I did. That's the joke. I can't remember word for word, but like, when I was talking about Cosby, then I said to them, I go, now picture Kanye West. Not that Kanye West wasn't raping anybody and being despicable like Bill Cosby, but he was in the news for some crazy things, and people were kind of looking at him a different way. And I mean, I don't know if they're doing that anymore because he just sold out like 2 shows back to back, over 80,000 people each show at SoFi Stadium. I've seen the clips on Instagram. It looks amazing, the show. He's like walking on the world. So I guess he's back. And he had his list of people that have wronged him, and Kim K was right on top of that. Who didn't think that was going to work out? But anyway, I'm just saying, you think about things that these people have done. It's absolutely horrible, but they leave behind, a body of work that you like. I mean, I'll give you for myself, Chris Benoit, who is an absolutely amazing professional wrestler. If you're ever talking, just let's talk about wrestling. Chris Benoit was the real deal. He had the goods. And you think about it. Even when that whole thing happened, before we knew what happened, people were mourning Chris Benoit, and then we find out what he did to his family, and it's like, oh my God, I can't watch, I can't go back and watch anything he did again. And like, I repost a lot of wrestling things, and there's matches that he was in that were phenomenal, and I can't repost it. And I can't separate that. I can't separate these things from the athletes and sometimes the movie stars with the things they've done, because it truly is horrific. And it's like, again, you feel slighted in a way because you are an adult now and you don't have that childhood way of thinking, the good in people. It's negative now. And so it was crazy to see. That was the first thing I've seen Diddy in since the documentaries. And I couldn't stop thinking about like everything that went on and what he did. So it definitely ruined that kind of part for me in the movie. Usually I'm good at separating things, but this was just a little. I think I just saw the documentary not too long ago. But he's up there with Bill Cosby, Chris Benoit, and things I can't really shake. I still listen to R. Kelly. Ignition is one of my favorite songs. I listen to it every Friday driving home from work. But it's disgusting what he did too. I mean, come on. All this money, what are you doing? Give me half of that money, and you'll never hear from me again. I'll be off living the good life. Got to worry about doing stupid shit like they're doing. Oh my God, I forget. I can't even get into. I'm not gonna get into it because we're gonna have a happy podcast. We're not gonna get into this Michigas. Let's switch gears to a happier subject, one that we all love, and I know I do. My inner Lorelai Gilmore. I love coffee. I love my coffee. And my go-to coffee of the week, I got this a few times this week, is a hot Starbucks skinny caramel macchiato with cold protein caramel foam. I'm probably saying it wrong. I should look at my order, how I did it. I'll read it exactly how I ordered it. Because God forbid you read it wrong into that Starbucks box. Or you order it wrong. But here's my mobile order. The last one I got, yeah, so I did say it wrong. I got the skinny caramel macchiato. I sub almond milk. And then I got the salted caramel protein cold foam. Let me tell you something. Tell you something about that cold foam. It is amazing. You get the hot coffee coming through there with the cold foam. It is magical. I don't get Starbucks every day because it's very expensive, but it's a nice treat. I actually got it this morning. I went out and grabbed a Starbucks for my morning coffee. I had a couple of errands to run before I did the podcast, and it was nice to have a that's like a time when you get a Starbucks. You're out, you get a Starbucks, but the line though, oh my. The Starbucks where I live is one of the busiest Starbucks in the country. I waited so long. I'm happy they didn't make my drink yet before I got to the window because I ordered a egg sandwich. Sandwich is cold by the time I got there. I was online almost a half an hour. And inside wasn't any better because I heard a woman coming out who saw somebody and she was like, "It's a half an hour. I just got cold brew. Ridiculous. Cold brew, half an hour." So even inside the wait was a long time. I'm sure she went home and wrote a scathing Yelp review or a Facebook post in the whatever town she lives in, mom's group, about how it took her half an hour to get cold brew. Me, I just sat in the car. I listened to sports radio. I found out that Patrick Waugh was fired from my Islanders. I don't like the I don't like the move. I can't pronounce the coach's name yet. Peter DeBoer, I think his name is. He was the coach of the Stars. I'm not through. I was a Patrick Waugh guy. I like Patrick Waugh a lot. I thought he was a good coach, and I think maybe the Islanders believe they're more ahead of what they are. I don't know. Listen, win a Stanley Cup, prove me wrong, make me the happiest person in the world. But I like Patrick Waugh. Anyway, that was I digress. Going back to Starbucks, that's my order, and my go-to treat right now from there is the Berry Blondie. It's very good. So I wait over half an hour for bacon, egg, and cheese, Berry Blondie, and that coffee, and a car line. But inside wasn't much better. I wish shift change right in front of me, so the guy had no idea what I was getting. You know, the person in front of me, the person before me who was working, opens the window and says, you know, "What was your order?" I said, "Mobile pickup for Anthony." And she goes, "Okay." And then she takes her headset off and her apron, and the guy comes in and puts it on. And he looks at me and he's like, "What'd you get?" I'm like, "What?" "Mobile order for Anthony." And he's like, "All right." He hands me my egg sandwich and the Blondie. Egg sandwich is actually colder than the Blondie. I was going to say, "Can you heat it?" I'm like, "I just want to get out of here." And he's like, "Oh, we're still working on the drink." And I actually was happy. I'm like, "Oh, thank God." Because now I'll have a hot drink. If my coffee was cold, I would have been very upset. I would have came home, put a Yelp review, and went into every mom's group I could find and let them know about it. I would have been that person. But it was really good. It's a really good coffee order. I'm a big fan of caramel and coffee. I get a light drizzle on it. I don't like a overpowering. I just like the flavor. The salted caramel cold foam really is the protein cold foam. You know, I'm drinking a protein shake basically. You know, that's what we do now. We get buff. Protein coffees. They're everywhere. It's kind of reminding me like when we used to do the old dub tricks back in the day. If anybody was on Weight Watchers back in, you know, from 2017 to before the pandemic, you were part of that Instagram crew. you knew, you got your Premier Protein, you got your double shot of espresso with ice, and that was your Starbucks iced coffee, protein coffee. And it's kind of like that. It kind of, if you get the full protein coffee with the cold foam, it kind of tastes like that as well. But I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing adding the extra protein. I do it because it sounds like I'm doing the right thing. I probably shouldn't be crushing berry blondies, but I talked about at the beginning of the show the nostalgia week I had. Music wise this week, I saw on Insta. I like Instagram's great for reminding me how old I'm getting. Like every album I like was released 30 years ago today. When every time I pop up Instagram, 35 years ago today, 37 years ago today, 26. I'm like, oh my god. To me, this music is still new in my head. Like it's not classic rock. It's not oldies. It's my music. This is my music. It got me. This is a soundtrack to my life. This is music that got me through every good and bad and in between. It's not old people music. It's my music. Maybe I'm an old person, but it's not old people music. I refuse to. Oh my god, they make me feel so goddamn old on that Instagram. So I saw that Taking Back Sunday. Tell All Your Friends, that album was released on March 26th, 2002. Okay, so that's not as bad. That's 24 years old. I was 20. I was still 22. I'd be 23 that August. And I love that album. One of my all-time favorite albums. You want to talk about a go-to breakup album? Whenever I'm having girl trouble, I put that on. It's like that, Dashboard Confessional, brand new. Taking Back Sunday is a local Long Island band, like brand new as well. So I felt like when it was released, like, okay, these are like, my people. They were a dick to my brother, at the bar one time, but I'll let it go. But that music, that album, oh my god, the songs in that album hit so hard even today. You listen to "Cute Without the E," man. Oh my god, that song when they yell like, "Why can't I feel anything from anybody?" from that day on, it like still like resonates in my soul from the first time I heard it. And when you go through like breakups or relationships that end where you don't feel the same after that, it's true. I know I had one of those myself. I don't really want to get into it, but I had a reminder this week, this weekend actually, of it. It was not a pleasant thing, and I listened to that album again, singing it at the top of my lungs, driving home from the cigar lounge at 1 a.m. Oh my god! But yeah, it's a fantastic album, and for me, like I got into emo. When the emo wave hit, I was in my early 20s, so it was different for me. It wasn't like the music of my teens. Punk rock was, I would say grunge, the Seattle sound, more that alternative rock and punk rock. That was the sound of my teens. No Effects, The Bouncing Souls, 88 Fingers Louie, No Use for a Name, Pearl Jam, Soundgarden, Nirvana. You know, those were those were the bands that really were the the sounds of my teens. Lagwagon. Um, I got into ska around that time too, like Less Than Jake and um, Suicide Machines. Like that was my teenage years, and then into my 20s, and I think it was maybe because I wasn't like, in my early 20s, I was kind of done with the mosh pits and that, but I still liked the music, but I was still done. Like, you go to the shows and everything. I was done with the mosh pits and that kind of thing. The emo stuff, like when Dashboard hit, it was more mellow and it hit a chord with me that, like, especially you're coming out of your teenage years, you're in your early 20s and, different kind of heartbreaks and relationships ending. I had those feelings like bottled up and this music definitely helped with it. And it still does. It's therapy. I will, if I'm having a bad day or something like really is eating at me that, that I need to take care of, I'll pick an album. I'll go light a cigar, put my earbuds in, and just forget about the world for about 45 minutes to an hour, however long that album is, and work through it that way. And then afterwards, I feel better. Music has that, healing effect. And I think that's why so many people are drawn to it. Someone to write exactly what you're feeling and to get it out there and make it like now it's there forever. And this album, Taking Back Sunday, Tell All Your Friends, there's some lines in that album that, goddamn hit home and still resonate. I'm going to be 47 in August. And that, think about it. I'm very close to 50. And I will listen to those songs. And when they're yelling, they're yelling that those lines and, because I could slit my throat and with my one last dying breath, I would apologize for bleeding on your shirt. I mean, yeah, I'm 22 again. I'm 22 years old again. Listening to it in my car for the first time or wherever I listen to it or listen to it with friends and sitting around with friends while this music's playing, talking about your girl trouble and this and that. Because let me tell you something. Look how macho you are, tough of a man. Girl breaks your heart. That's it, man. You're sitting around with your boys and you're talking about it. I don't care what anybody says, what they show in movies and this and that, tough guys, blah, blah, blah. You get guys sitting around and you got a couple of drinks, couple of puffs. The feelings come out. And this music is the soundtrack and the background to it. So another album that came out in my early 20s that still resonates, hits home with me today, and is a go-to. Like I said, Cigar Lounge is a great place for me to sit and listen to this stuff. I just tune everything out. We'll talk about my cigars of the week that that are go-tos of mine. Really didn't try anything new this week. Stuck with the classics, so to speak. I had the other night, I had a Tatuaje Gran Cajono, which is one of my favorite cigars. Tatuaje makes, first of all, fantastic cigars. I never had a bad Tatuaje. Not one. In fact, a couple of years ago, my brother for Christmas got me a advent calendar that was cigars, Tatuaje cigars. And I smoked my way through that thing. Every day was a different Tatuaje, and it was amazing. The different flavors, profiles. And really turned me on to that brand. This week, I had twice. I had the Jaime Garcia. I think I'm not gonna say it's a torpedo tip, I guess, because or top goes to looks like a torpedo, but it's the I think 5.5 by 6.5 or 5 by 6 or 5.5 by 60. That one is a fantastic cigar. Jaime Garcia cigars are great. It's by My Father Cigars. And that's another company that doesn't make bad cigars. My Father Cigars are absolutely fantastic. So any Jaime Garcia you can get your hands on, do it. It's definitely a great cigar. And last night I had one that I haven't had in a while, but for a good couple of months, I got this cigar almost every night. It's the Camacho broadleaf. I like a broadleaf. It's it's a fantastic cigar, and it's crazy because I don't smoke any other Camachos now. Camacho is one of my favorite brands. I love their Nicaragua, the Corojo. I like their Triple Maduro, but the broadleaf, it's like that's the one I get now. I like the other ones, and if I get them like as a gift or in a sample pack, I very happy to smoke them. But for some reason, that broadleaf is like that's the one, and that's I had it last night, and I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna probably have this a couple more times in the next few weeks because one, it's inexpensive, it's got a good price point, you know, and secondly, it's a phenomenal cigar. That's the thing too. Like cigars don't have to cost a lot of money for them to be good. You can get a good cigar. You can get good cigars at decent prices. And if anybody out there is looking to get a good cigar or needs cigar recommendations, hit me up. DM me over at Comic Anthony D. I love to talk about cigars. I love to spew my nonsense about what I like. Turn people on to a cigar that maybe they weren't looking to get. Definitely, definitely a hobby of mine. I like talking cigars with people. Like I said, one of these episodes we're gonna do a little bit of round table, and we're gonna talk. We're gonna have a good time at a cigar lounge talking the good stuff. I already have a friend of mine who wants to do it, and I'm excited to get it together. I got a couple of shows in the works. We're gonna have some friends on talking about their go tos and what they like, and yeah, next week I'll be talking about the restaurant I'm going to tonight. I don't want to give it away, but it's a very nice steakhouse, and I am very excited to go. And I'm looking forward to sitting and having dinner with my dad. And yeah, it's gonna be a good night. So everybody, if you're listening to this on a Monday, but Easter, I'm recording this on Easter, so happy Easter. Have a fantastic week, and I'll be back next Monday with more go-tos. This is the Go-To Podcast. You can find us on Apple, Spotify, any podcast platform. I have a link tree we're on YouTube as well. So YouTube, go to the link tree in my Instagram at Comic Anthony D, and you could see all the places we are. I also have a link for Buy Me a Coffee. This money helps support the channel. It goes right back into the channel. It helps me keep the lights on, so to speak, and lets me record on places where I have to pay and things like that, but brings the best podcast to you. So definitely click that link, buy me a coffee, and whatever you donate. It's much appreciated. And I just appreciate all the support and everybody who reached out this week, everybody who posted on Instagram, messaged me, and supported the podcast. Thank you so much. It feels so good to be back. Again, recording another episode. I'm a happy man. This is fun. This is a good time. I love podcasting, and I hope you're digging what I'm putting out. And if not, then you'll let me know one way or another, I guess. But anyway, have an awesome week. I will talk to you later. Enjoy.